begin our Wednesday press conference. We're talking about, one of my assistant coaches who's really doing an exceptional job. And most of the time they'll have some sort of statistics to back that up. And this week I'd like to talk a little bit about Stephen Fafita, who coaches our defensive line. Tyler Cooter and Kurt Crush, they were both coming off of big games in which they were a presence, an unblockable presence throughout the night, Saturday or Friday night down in Boise. And I was real proud of the way those guys played. And Steve's, he's trying to rise the expectations that we have in our D-line. Our D-line has not been great since I've been here, and I think we're now on the cusp of really being able to do some cool things. And the third person, of course, is Rasheed Williams, a true freshman out of Mater Dei High School in Los Angeles, who had a really nice play in the first half, ran over the running back, had a big sack. So a lot of cool things going on for us in our defensive line, and a severe challenge for us this week against a wide-open UNLV team. The other point I'd like to make is, of course, it was a 52-0 loss at Boise. That's not good. 0 points is not good. Yet in comparison to our game against Washington or our game against Nebraska, a much more competitive game early in the ball game where we had a chance at halftime to go ahead and win the thing. We went out in the second half and started a nice drive and then missed the ball when we tried to punt it. And the game got turned on its ear. So a nice job through at least the first half, which is more longer. I don't know how to say this. Which is we played better earlier and longer than we had in our previous games against these monsters. Now it's this week UNLV. It's back into the deep end of the pool. Obviously 85-63 in scholarships. A football team that's 0-3, but they've lost to 3 heavyweights. Northern Illinois lost barely last week at Ohio State. UCLA stands by itself as one of the dominant teams in the United States. And of course, last week the Rebels got to line up in the big house in front of 106,000. So they've played 3 heavyweight football teams. And I don't know what they'll play like against us. We have no idea. And also, after really 2 games, because the Black Hills State game really doesn't count. After 2 games, we scored 1 offensive touchdown. Yeah, the other we scored 2 against Portland State, but the second one was an excuse me play. So we scored 1 touchdown on the year, and that's a great concern of ours. Our numbers look pretty similar to what they were last year about this time after we played Utah and Utah State and Chadron State. The numbers are the same, but touchdown scored is the issue. So from the 20 in, we call it point blank. We've got to be much better offensively, not only in our execution, but in who we're executing. So we got to get going down there because we had some great drives last week that ended up with not a 9 nicked, and we got to be better than that. Question?
Mike, can you kind of pinpoint where the offensive?
Yeah, we're inaccurate at quarterback. He's inaccurate. He's got to get better. His accuracy's got to improve down in there.
How many plays did you win last week?
We won less than 100, and our goal, I think Steve had the number now, about 67, but in the first half we had like 48, so we were close to 100. But in the second half, defensively, outside of the last 4 plays inside the 5-yard line where we held them, we'd scored 1, which meant that we held them to 3 yards or less on only 1 play in the second half. That's a complete breakdown and a lack of confidence defensively. So it's a cool way of keeping score in these games. And obviously this game, we want to score 100 points, maybe 110 points against UNLV and see where the dog will lie.
Going back to follow up on Mark, what's he got to do to improve his accuracy?
Well, that's like a baseball pitcher. He's either going to be accurate or he's not. And we've got to work with him on his release point. He's high. We've got to work on him with his footwork. He's long. We've got to work on him with his decision making. He's late. So all 3 things will be facets by which Michael and Tanner can play a little bit better.
Is that somewhat overwhelming for him at times to have 3 different facets he's got to get better at?
No, I think it's overwhelming for every quarterback. If you go back, and don't compare us to 14, but compare us to 13, when Arias became a starter, having already been in the program for 2 full seasons, he was not great early. It took us a while to get him going in 13, and it's taken us a while to get Michael going also here in 15. Very similar to what Justin Arias went through as a junior. Very similar. The only thing is that Arias didn't have the offensive line that Michael's got. And so we're able to mask Michael's inadequacies or Justin Arias' inadequacies with a great offensive front because literally we've given up 4 sacks this year and all have been the quarterback's fault. I mean, last week he got sack fumble on a play on a 14-yard loss in which it was totally his fault. Totally his fault. He didn't see the blitz, didn't look at it, and you're going to get what you deserve at quarterback if you don't see the blitz coming. And the blitz was standing there, and he just didn't see it.
How was practice then this week?
It's been fun. It's been good. It's been we're okay. Well, I had somebody at one of the meetings I was at this week ask us about our team attitude. I said my attitude's great. We don't put much stock in any of that stuff. These are college boys. They don't know what they're doing 5 minutes from now. So we don't really read a lot into dissension or anything like that because we're whipsawing them as hard as we can to get them better. And it's not because we're playing UNLV or because we're 1-2. It's because we need to play better. Period. It's a game that we play. Doesn't mean we can't play with a great amount of intensity and aplomb and confidence. So we've got to show more confidence in what we're doing, especially in the new spots. And we're new at weak side linebacker. We're new at safety, where we didn't play especially well. We're new at quarterback. Everybody else is an experienced player, and they play like it. Josh Cook had several outstanding catches. Madison Mangum was maybe the dominant player on the field last week. That's what we expect. We expect that again this week.
You have said repeatedly that September is install month. How does playing 2 FBS opponents in a row help or hurt that, and where are you compared
Jeff,
to where you'd like to be?
I think playing 2 FBS opponents helps as long as you don't look at the scoreboard. Because you play at speed. You're playing against a team their front guys are bigger and faster than not bigger, but they're faster than your guys, and their skill guys are bigger than your skill guys. So you mix those two together, and what you end up with is by the end of September, a pretty savvy football team that knows how to line up and play, provided it's got the physical ability to man the position. And we're running into a little strain of that a little bit on defense. I always talk about the loss of Manu and Mario, but the 2 guys that have replaced them are doing okay. Not great. They're still a study in progress. But think of the loss it's been to kick teams to lose those 2 guys that are the back of the starters now off of kick teams. And kick teams is a little wounded now because we've lost Braden Mitchell, who will be unavailable for 5 to 6 weeks, and Joe Martin has yet to play since the opening kickoff against Black Hill State. So kick teams, we're missing 4 soldiers, and we're paying the price for it right now.
So where are you compared to where you'd like to be on install month? Are you ahead a little bit?
We're about right on task, Jeff. We're right, especially on offense. He's doing a nice job of feeling it. He's seeing it. Both guys are seeing it at game tempo because Tanner hasn't ever played in a game either. They're seeing it at game tempo, and they're able to apply it. They get better and better each time we practice, each game we play. Not real worried about where we're at quarterback or in total offensive production until we get to that first league game, which will be, surprisingly, as you snap your fingers twice and the year goes floating by this fast, surprisingly only about 6-7 days away, or 8, 9, 10 days away. Here we go.
Mike, can you tell us a little about Vegas, the program trying to rebuild, but they do have some talent. I noticed their wide receivers are pretty good.
Well, Bobby Houck's as good a head coach as there is. And Bobby Houck was there for 4 years. And regardless of the win-loss record, he built the foundation of a great program. And there are good players at Nevada, Las Vegas. And there are good defensive linemen, good linebackers, good secondary guys, excellent wide receivers, a much improved offensive line that was coached by Chad Germer, who's now, of course, at the University of Montana. And their quarterback, Eric Decker, who was the starter at Scottsdale when Michael was a backup as a freshman, is showing really good improvement. He's got good speed. They can move the ball around. I mean, they have played some good football teams. They have not scored one touchdown like we have this year, one meaningful touchdown this year. So they're ahead of us offensively quite a bit. It'll be a good challenge for us defensively. Yet we have a couple guys defensively I think are some of the premier players in our conference. Obviously Tyler Cooter and Kirk Carstetter. I think Hayden Stout's an outstanding premier player, and so is Cody Sorensen. So we got some guys defensively, and we've just got to rally the guys around them to make better plays and more improvement.
Mike, to follow up, I haven't seen a lot of video. I saw them play UCLA. But in general, what is their philosophy on
They're wide open on offense, one back, no back, move the pocket, get the quarterback to run the ball. We've given up, I think, 16 first downs to quarterbacks running the ball this year already. So it'll be an issue for us. The quarterback's mobile and likes to run it when he runs out of his read. Very talented at wideout, though. Very talented at wideout. Pretty good at running back. Defensively, big, solid in front. They held Michigan to 28 points. Michigan tried to shove it down their throat, and they shoved it right back. So an excellent effort by them over in Ann Arbor. And I think Saturday night, even though the temperature will be very, very high, it'll be a very physical game between two teams, I still think they're pretty good. And Vegas is 0-3, and we're 1-2, and shove is coming to shove here Saturday night.
Mike, give a grade to your running game so far this year and try to evaluate that.
Geez, Jerry. I don't know. Probably B-. B-. We haven't played great at running back. We in the Portland State game, we were way off the rails at running back. Last week we were much better, and we pounded the ball. We only ran the ball 7 times at halftime. You're not going to run the ball against Boise. Those 2 inside linebackers are going to play in the NFL along with those 2 safeties. And week outside linebacker is a great player also. So that's the same defense we played against when we played Washington that had 4 first-round draft choices. Boise's got some high draft choices in their defensive front. So I'm not reading too much into our lack of running game in the Boise State game. I read more into it in our lack of running game against Portland State, which is completely a running back track issue that we got solved.
It sounded like Boise State was the front 7 was your big challenge. UNLV, what big challenge offensively or defensively do they present where they have clear advantage that'll be tough for you to handle?
That's a great question. We're more level with UNLV than we were with Boise. Boise doesn't have a great offensive front until the second half when we wore out. Otherwise, I thought we played really well in our front. Their misdirection and throwing the ball on the outside against man coverage, our inability to tackle the quarterback when we had everybody else covered was the issue in the first half of the Boise State game. The second half is a complete breakdown of all facets and facilities of our defense. The UNLV game is more of a level challenge for us. We're more experienced now in our defensive front. I expect our front to play a little bit better, particularly John Raheem Peoples. Offensively in our offensive front, even though we're going to play without Terrence Carey, our starting tackle, Chase Collins has just done an excellent job of stepping in and playing. He's a starting caliber guy. And our offensive front has really played outstanding. So in the skill groups, obviously we love our receivers. We've good challenge against their defensive backs. I think they like their defensive backs. There's a lot of level evaluations that I have right now that we'll find out how we do on Saturday night.
Talk about your kicking game. What are you going to do at that punting spot?
Well, obviously, Zach Johnson, our second-year kicker, completely fell off the table last week. He missed a field goal. He had one blocked. He kicked the opening kickoff out of bounds, and he dropped a punt in which he missed the ball. So what we'll do this week is we could relieve him of punting duties. It's kind of a decision I've got to make right now. He's obviously, I think he's an excellent field goal and placement kicker. We're asking him to do too much. We're asking, his kickoffs have vacated his head since the middle of October of last year. He hasn't kicked off effectively in practice or in games. And so kickoff is starting to be an issue for him, let alone punting also. So the field goal PAT part now is starting to sag because he's starting to put energy into punting and kickoffs. And so he's not doing anything well. And we've got to get back to where he's allowed to just concentrate on one part or 2 parts and not all 3 parts. And we'll see how this plays out Saturday night.
You mentioned Cheney might be back this week or maybe not.
He might be.
If he is back, do you think you go to the traditional punt?
I haven't decided yet. Good question, though, but I have not yet decided. So he could not. I don't know. We could also have Tanner Guller punt because Tanner's really improved his punting since he's had to do it now for 6 weeks. So, and it gives us all of our fakes.
Is that decision-making process done throughout the week based on how you guys practice?
It's based on how I feel when we go onto the field for punting. And I'm telling you the truth. I've said this all along. There are times I'm going down the ramp or going onto the field in game time. I'm not sure who's going to punt until I'm in the moment, and we have to punt. And I will probably be that way again this Saturday.
You mentioned Zach Johnson struggled with kickoffs. Do you have a guy to go to who can do also? Yes,
Brandon Johnson has walked on to this football team having served as a coach at Century High School. He's a 25-year-old true freshman who's doing a pretty good job in kickoffs. So we have some alternatives behind Zach to get Zach squared away, whether it's being punting or kickoffs.
So you hope to redshirt Brendan and Johnson, but maybe now you will burn that.
Yeah, nobody has a red shirt for sure until we start winning games. We'll pull anybody off a red shirt. So, there's a lot of things that, in fact, the big issue for us is we're redshirting a bunch of guys that are young, but I'm running out of personnel on kick teams. Because the injury to Mario, the loss of Joe Martin, and the loss of Braden Mitchell, those are 3 frontline kick team guys that I don't have for punt coverage, punt return, kickoff, and kickoff coverage. And so we're really considering reaching into our freshman class like we did with Cody Graves and said, come on, you got to play. I mean, at some point, we got to be able to survive. We got to be able to man the position. And if our freshmen are it, man, that's the way it goes.
Mike, would you talk a little as a coach? You coached high school, worked your way into the college ranks, now you're a head coach. UNLV's got only the 4th individual to go directly from high school to college, and he had a terrific program in high school. Well, what are the challenges that he's facing just from what you had to go through as you were learning your trade?
I think that's an individual question. You know, I think Tony's been around the game enough to know what the expectations are in terms of time and preparation. And he's got a very veteran staff that's college oriented. I think it's more a measure of your staff than it is as a head coach than it is of you. I saw this fail at Notre Dame with my brother when my brother was playing when Jerry Faust became a head coach. But he brought some of his staff and his old philosophy from Moeller High School to Notre Dame, and it was a miserable, god-awful failure. I'm not sure where Tony's at. He's 0-3, but they've played three teams that he never had to play at Gorman High School. So the measure of a college coach is not how you handle winning, it's how you handle losing. And as long as you stay within your plan as a head coach, especially a rookie head coach at the college level, you'll be okay. It's when you panic and start reverting back to the things that worked for you in high school that you really get in trouble. And that's why high school coaches to college have been failures. Not because they can't handle the winning, it's because they can't handle the losing and how you respond and react to it.
Rasheed Williams, it seemed like he played more against Boise than he has in past games. Is that
Yeah.
true? Did he get more reps?
Oh, yes, certainly. And will he get more reps this week? Certainly. He's near a borderline starter out of proficiency, not out of need. I mean, he's really, really an excellent player. He really is an excellent player out of Mater Dei High School. And he played in one of those Pac-5 schools. He's been around good football all of his life. It's a great battle when he and Josh Cook line up against each other, two Mater Dei alumni, even in practice. So, no, Rasheed Williams is an excellent player, and as a freshman, he's good enough. He has size, weight, height to be able to man the position. He'll play a lot more this Saturday.
You thought he was going to play when you recruited him, but has he gotten better since he's been on campus?
He's been exactly what we thought he could be, a borderline starter, certainly a quality backup as a true freshman. One of the exceptional guys in our recruiting class. Been exactly what we thought he would be, exactly. In fact, our predictions about our freshman recruiting class are almost 100% correct right now, in my opinion. We'll see who develops beyond that. And Rasheed is one of those guys, and Cody Graves is another. Pretty sweet. The guys are pretty sweet players. The other guy, I don't know if you've noticed in our depth, but Jason Miller is a defensive back from San Dimas, California. He'll play a little bit now at safety because we've got to get better at strong safety where Tyson is gone.
What do you mean by Jason? Just to test your depth, or?
No, he's got to play. We're not good enough at strong safety right now. We need to make more plays. We can't get run by. We got to run by. We got to be more physical. We got to make more tackles. We have to have more production out of a strong safety position. Whether it's Jeremy Biddle, whether it's improved play by Camino Ward, or whether it's Jason Miller getting on the field and playing. One of those three's got to happen because we're playing with 10 guys sometimes on defense. Our strong safety position is vacant.
I assume against UNLV it's more of an opportunity to play as many guys as you can.
Sure.
But against Cal Poly, who do you want to start at strong safety?
That's a whole different animal. We'll talk about that next week.
It's going to hit triple digits in Vegas.
It's going to be hot.
Is that a concern at all?
Isn't it hot in Vegas all the time? Inside or outside? No, it's not really much of a concern because both teams have to play under the same conditions. It's not cooler on their side of the field than it is on ours. We'll have some cool zones on the sideline. We'll drink a lot of water and go like heck.
Have you been practicing outside?
Yeah, we practiced outside Monday night. It was great. Temperature was perfect. And we practiced outside yesterday. It was 86 degrees. Perfect.